I'm Roman Harper, and I'm the host of today's podcast of the NFL Broadcasting and Media Workshop. I have to keep looking back because I'm clearly going to mess this up all day long. And my two guests today are Eric Kendricks and Brandon Marshall. Okay, I like it. So, B. Marsh.
Yep.
Can I call you B. Marsh?
Absolutely. Everybody does.
I figured so.
Yep.
It's just easy that way. You're from Las Vegas.
Yes, sir.
What was that like growing up? Eric just asked me. I'm from a place called Prattville, Alabama, small town. What was it like growing up in Las Vegas?
You know, I get that question a lot. And
Because
honestly,
most people can't imagine.
Yeah, and most people just think it's a casino or it's just a strip, but it's actually just a full city, a regular city. So growing up, I mean, it was hot. You know, it was hot. And to me, it was just normal life. You know, my mom wasn't really having that, you know, us being out on the strip or us being outside. But it was normal to me. So it was, you know, nothing spectacular, nothing crazy. But as you get older, you kind of see the marvel that is Las Vegas.
And so what was the first time you went like out on the strip or kids like getting in a lot of trouble there?
Yeah,
no. What's that like?
100%. I actually had, you know, one of my homeboys end up going to jail because he got into some trouble on the strip. But my first time really being on the strip was All-Star Weekend.
Oh.
So All-Star Weekend was in Vegas back in 2006 or 2007, right? 2006, 2007. And I was, you know, I used to step back in the day. So, you know, I was on the step team. So we had a couple events on the strip.
How old were you?
I was 17. So, you know.
Great question.
Yeah, I was in a guy right program to a fraternity. Now I'm actually in the fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi, you know, noops. Anyway, I actually was on the strip just hanging out for a little bit. You know, curfew at 12, though, if you're not 18 and over.
So, B. Marsh, back to you. I want to know this because you went to University of Nevada.
Yep.
What was that like? I went to Alabama. So, like, I'm always
Yeah.
interested in, like, small school guys. I don't want to say the struggle, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so, you know, going to University of Nevada, you know, first of all, my whole life I just wanted to play football. I wanted to go to the NFL. So when I first went to the University of Nevada, I went to our pro day, right? So I went to the pro day. I'm like, okay, cool. So let's see how many scouts is there. You know, we had 2 scouts. We had 2 scouts. We had 2 scouts. And I'm like, I'm a freshman. I'm like, yo, we get no love, no looks. So, and I will say this, you know, I think a lot of times, you know, it's just God, you know, because Colin Kaepernick came along. Mm-hmm. He was a year older than me. And all of a sudden, Colin Kaepernick, you know, took the nation by storm. So his junior year, you know, sophomore year, junior year, he's going crazy. So then we start getting NFL scouts at practice. So then his senior year comes, right? They're still coming to practice, 6'6", of course, right? So then they start to notice other athletes. And so I think we were kind of the product of having somebody that they came to see. And then they said, oh, hold on, wait, they got a tight end, Virgil Green. They got a linebacker, you know, James Michael Johnson. They got a defensive end, Dante Moak. You know, Brandon Marshall's there, right? So I think, you know, the right place, right time.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything. Because imagine if I was there, you know, a couple years after or a couple years before Colin, you know, who knows where I'd have been.
But, like, if you weren't ready for that opportunity when it came, then who knows? We probably wouldn't be here right now. You
Absolutely.
know?
That's awesome.
No, 1000%.
Okay. I was wondering about that. That's why I love asking these questions.
I kind of want to go back to what you said earlier. You said that you felt like an underdog, right? Tell me, and just from my perspective, outside looking in, right? 2nd round pick, Buckets Award winner, right? So where did that underdog, how did you feel like an underdog?
Because I feel like, in my mind, I'm better than everybody, and I want to be the best there ever was. Maybe I'm not as big as this person. Maybe I'm not as fast as this person. But when you look back at my work, I guarantee you won't question any of that. Like, you know, because I pride myself on being consistent. So it was like that underdog mentality. I feel like I kind of carry it on myself a little bit more than maybe the people see me as. But
and you should, because you're definitely one of the best.
You figure it out, and next thing you know, it makes you a better person at the end.
Yeah, I think we have to, you know, grasp something because, you know, I mean, obviously we've all seen The Last Dance, right? Jordan would make things up in his head, or he'll hear things, or he'll perceive things a certain way to give him that extra edge, right? 2nd round pick, you know, Alabama, UCLA, but you still got something that, no, they counting me out. They still count me out, which helped propel y'all to having great careers, though.
What has been the biggest offseason signing or trade this offseason that's kind of made you say, wow, or take a step back?
Honestly, it's the Bengals. You know, it's the Bengals. Like signing to Jamar Chase, rightfully so. And T. Higgins, obviously T. Higgins is a number one wide receiver. They drafted him. They didn't want to lose him. But to have two, $100 million receivers, first time in NFL history, to me, that was mind-boggling. I was hoping they was coming to the Broncos. I'm still a Bronco fan, by the way. So I'm like, yo, we need T. Higgins. So when they signed both of them, that was actually kind of, head-scratching for me.
And Trey Hendricks is still
Yeah.
not done with his deal either. So
I didn't really understand that. Yeah, my experience was a little different. I was a fifth-round pick, and I got cut twice my rookie year, twice in 1 week to be exact.
That's hard.
So, the first time I get cut, they tell me, by the way, I was a rookie for the Jacksonville Jaguars. First week I got cut, they cited that I think Blaine Gabbert got hurt, so they needed to bring a backup quarterback, right? Then, so that was on a Friday. They said, we'll bring you back. Okay, they brought me back to the active roster, all right, on Monday. And Thursday, they cut me again, citing that, Mojo got hurt, right? So Maurice Jones-Drew, if you didn't know. And it was interesting because I got cut. The second time I got cut was at breakfast. And so I'm talking to all the DBs. All right, Rome, I'm talking to the DBs, and we just, shooting it and just talking. And then next thing I know, I get tapped on the shoulder.
Reaper comes through.
He tapped me on the shoulder. He said, hey, Brent, I've been looking for you all morning. So I look at him, and then I look around at everybody else. Everybody head down.
Yeah, bro.
They're not even. So I got cut. And to feel that rejection was definitely something that was heavy on me.
Yep.
Because I've never been rejected in my life. Obviously, everybody that makes it to the NFL was the best in their arena or best on their team their entire lives, right, for the most part. And so I took a drive down, 95 South in Jacksonville, get to St. Augustine, and I decide, you know what, at least I have my degree. Because in my head, I'm like, well, I got cut twice in 1 week, man. Maybe the writing's on the wall for me. I decide to turn around and say, you know what, because they did tell me they was going to bring me back. So I said, hey, man, because what I was trying to do, I was trying to play like Paul Posluszny. I was trying to play like the other linebackers, and I just wasn't really being myself. I couldn't really find my footing in Jacksonville. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to be me. I'm going to do what got me here. Obviously be coachable, but do what got me here. They drafted me for a reason, and then you know what? At least I'll be able to lay my head on that pillow if I do get cut again, and, hey, I gave it my all. And so, they brought me back on the practice squad. And, I do want to give a shout out to Maurice Jones-Drew, because that's somebody who actually took me under his wing in Jacksonville. And, I trained with him in the summer in Miami, and he was somebody that was like, he was a solid vet for me. I worked my way up from the practice squad back to the active roster at the, week 17. So that was that was a great accomplishment by me. And I don't know if y'all ever went through this, but I actually lost my confidence.
Yeah, no.
I lost my confidence. And I don't know if you know a guy is a linebacker named Greg Jones. He played at Michigan State. He played for the New York Giants. One day, Greg pulled me to the side. He was like, hey, yo, B, man, I've seen you play, and I don't know why they treat you this way. And that kind of like,
Boop, 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 boop.
that kind of
A
comfort.
little bit, bro. That's important, man.
It's important.
It's important, man.
Yeah.
It's important.
And I have lost my confidence too.
Yeah.
So my last year in Minnesota, I was having conversations with, the front office, hey, I want to be here. Like, what's up? Like, what, are we going to do something? And it was like, it wasn't ever reciprocated. And I started being like, man, like, am I not doing things right? They started rotating us. I'm like, what's going on right here? So I didn't know at the time, but I really was affected in my confidence. And that led to kind of the first couple games for the Chargers, But then I kind of snapped out of it, got my confidence back. But that's hard, man. Go out there and be yourself, man. You're really good.
Yeah,
like
man.
that matters.
And that was actually a turning point for me. But I did everything I could. I worked hard. You talking about chip on your shoulder. After my rookie year, my linebacker coach, I'll never forget him. We do exit meetings. He pulled me inside the office and said, hey, man, I don't know if the NFL's cut out for you. And at that moment, Rome, I was livid. I want to go off on him, right? But I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to add as a chip on my shoulder. And I never forgot that,
Yeah.
And because a wise man once told me, it only takes one person to believe. So it doesn't matter what anybody else says about you, right? I just continue to believe in myself. If I would have listened to him, if I would have really fed into that negative information, I wouldn't be, sitting here as a Super Bowl champion,
Yeah.
right? But you know, it was my rookie year was tough, man. I ain't gonna lie, it was tough. It was hard.
Roller coaster.
I
was
did
hard.
not know that. I mean, first of
Yeah.
all, great stories, guys. Who's the nastiest or dirtiest player you ever had to play against? I'm taking a vote. That's why.
When you say nasty, you talking about like just a dog, like tough? You talking about dirty,
Like dirty.
oh. You know who I used to hate?
Who?
Gardner is Gronk because he used to cheat. He used to like push off. I'm gonna take the conversation another way, but he used to push off, and I'll be like, Rev, I know you see this fool. He'll run right into you, boom, and then push off you, and that was just like, come on.
Well, hey, man, appreciate you guys, man. This was
doubt.
beautiful stories.
Yep.
Great job. All defensive crew. This has been my favorite crew so far. So appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate
for sure.
that.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.